Good morning, El Paso, and welcome back to this week's AMP El Paso episode, I guess. So, this is kind of a out of routine kind of podcast. I kind of held off last week, and this week it seems like it just kind of makes sense to kind of send something out of the ordinary, especially here in El Paso within the last, 48 hours maybe. We all kind of know what's going on, right? So this is kind of just a podcast that I was going to make. I'm not going to talk about events really because most of you probably already know, things are being canceled pretty left and right. And, we don't have anything going on yet here in El Paso with this virus going on. But it seems like all these things are more preventive than anything. But I did feel kind of an urgency to try to bring this podcast out today to try to, just try to ease some people's minds a little bit. I feel like if you go out anywhere, if you have errands to do or if you got to go out to do your shopping especially or anything, you kind of sense that people are freaking out a little bit, which I totally understand. I don't think that there is not a reason to panic. I think there is maybe some reason to be cautious. And I feel El Paso is pretty good at being very cautious. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure we're gonna get through this. We're a very, we're a very cautious city. We're very cautious people here. And I just figured, you know what? Although it does seem like everybody's cautious, we can't afford to let anything violent happen, because we're all in the same situation, really. So I don't think that it's wise to freak out about all the things that are going on, and I feel like it's an important time to try to just put out a message to try to calm people down. I think it's this is something that is an issue, definitely, I believe. I think we have to be more preventive than anything, right? And so today I'm gonna try to stay away from events, although this is really what this whole podcast is about, of course, right? But I do believe that people are. I don't think anybody's gonna want to go out here in these times, and it bothers me a little bit to have to say that because there's people that put on events that that they depend on that stuff, along with other things such as restaurants. They're kind of at the mercy of the customers and all that. This doesn't seem, I guess, kind of like a big deal, but bars and things like that, where you would go out on the weekends with your family, which, coincidentally enough, that's exactly what this whole podcast was about. And it is, and it will be, like I said, because this is something that we're gonna get through this, right? There's no doubt we're gonna get through this. However, we do need to be mindful of, especially from. I'll read some of the things that I've been kind of focusing on here, since from what I've heard, people are still, in a certain sense, still going out and doing things that they need to do, such as work, and still going grocery shopping. I think people are, in my opinion, panic buying a lot of stuff right now. But the way stores work, next week or in a couple weeks, everything will be fine. People's shelves are going to be stocked, and things like that. So I'm going to try to just do my part in trying to keep that calm, especially with the little, the little amount of people that I do have. I just feel I should try to kind of do my part in it. But like I said, I do know a lot of things, especially big events, are being canceled. And I don't think that's entirely a bad idea. Maybe we could put a dent in how this thing is spread. Thankfully, I haven't heard anything about here in El Paso or Juarez this far, actually, that anybody's been really exposed or anything like that. So I think that's kind of a good thing, that people are still being very cautious. And if you must go out, be mindful of everything you touch, including your face, your head or whatever, just be mindful of all the things you touch. Maybe try to conserve a little bit more things, as far as supplies, cleaning supplies. I heard yesterday that almost every store around here in El Paso, most stores, they're already running out of like cleaning supplies and toilet paper, which I understand that. I get why people would want to do that. In my opinion, people are bracing for something that they think might come later, which I hope it doesn't. I hope this kind of staves off a little bit. And, what I'm hoping is that, this week a lot of people went out and bought like cleaning supplies and toilet paper and toiletries. So I'm hoping, those same people are mindful, and then, by next week or a couple weeks in, they'll have enough of that stuff, and there's still going to be a supply coming from stores and everything. So, the people that I heard are the most affected are the elderly, which we all have grandparents, we all have parents, we all have people that are older that are maybe already in some sort of a state where they have some health issues. So I think those are the people that are going to be most vulnerable right now. Maybe with people that wear adult diapers, people that, they can't drive very well, or even elder people that are already in some sort of illness or something like that. And I just feel like those people are the ones that we have to watch out for. And possibly, all the people that are buying all this other stuff. Maybe it's people that have those same people living with them. A lot of people here in El Paso, we have our parents or grandparents living with us. And I think that's probably what people are preparing for. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. And like I said, I am going to try to do my part at keeping people as calm as I can. I know I don't have a big base here or anything, but hopefully you'll hear this and maybe talk to people about trying to just remain calm, really. I am currently here on the WHO website, which is the World Health Organization, and just WHO.int. And the first thing that you'll say in a big red banner, it's that there's a current outbreak of coronavirus, which is a COVID-19 disease. And just something to clarify, I have been reading on this for the past week or so. I'll try to share with you some of the things. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk about a lot of events, if any, really. Today, especially being out of my regular schedule, when I try to put these out on Tuesdays, I will be back here on Tuesday. Hopefully to just bring a little bit more positivity here. around this around my little listening base here, and try to like I said, try to keep people remaining calm. But I will be back here this Tuesday. Hopefully check up on some people and update and see what's up. Hopefully, this was just like a weekend thing where people will hopefully not going to be glued to like the news or anything, and rather look at facts, and start realizing it's our elder folk that are going to suffer a little bit more if the younger people don't really kind of we calm down. And that's one of the things that I think is just the most important. Calm down. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's a little bit worried, but we need to calm down, especially for people that have kids or that have older people depending on them. We are the ones that need to remain calm. Sometimes we're the head of our household or anything. So before the freak out starts, we all have to kind of calm down. So some of the things that I did look into was that first and foremost is, okay, this coronavirus it mainly gets its name from the type of bacteria that it is and the shape of the actual bacteria, the molecule for it, which it looks like a crown. So that's why it's called a coronavirus, because the actual little molecule, the little molecule of the coronavirus looks like a small crown, among with others, which I think is the MERS and the SARS, and actually I think the flu even kind of has similar to that, which is round with like little spiky things, and that's where it gets its name, right? So this thing, it had the epicenter of this outbreak was Wuhan in China, where they said that it was in a lab and there was an outbreak, and it spread because of all of the what they call wet markets there. I don't know how true all that might be. Excuse me. But from what I heard, and there's some good news in all of that, is that it's so the brunt of it is already kind of past the origin of it in China, which it started up in December, and we're already in March. So, the worst of it is already past, and I think they actually started seeing days where the cases actually started to go down, because it helps. It helps to have people, to encourage people to stay out, and of course they have a different government system that we do here. But the one thing that does help is trying to minimize the people that are outdoors, and trying to minimize that unessential interaction with other people, whether it be physical or even being around in the general vicinity of things. Maybe if you went out to go buy something to eat, you didn't have to be in a restaurant or something. Maybe this is a good opportunity to start just cooking at home. Buy your food and all that, and start cooking at home. That is, of course, going to hurt some businesses, but that comes at a bigger price than possibly being infected or infecting others. Especially since, among other things that I've heard of this virus, it takes some sort of incubation period of at least 4 to 5 days from what I've heard, and I've read. Well, I've been reading a couple of different things, and you don't really start showing symptoms until about 5 days in, and by the time you're infected, maybe you could become infectious to other people. And that is especially important if you go visit your folks, or if you go visit family members at elder care facilities, or even in your own home. If you bring that into your house, the most vulnerable people at this point, from what I've been reading in different things, is that they're the most vulnerable to it, and then I believe followed by children, which thankfully right now it is this particular strain of this COVID-19 is that I guess children are not especially susceptible to it, which that's a very good thing, and why I think we might not see a lot of school closures here at the moment. I do think that's going to be coming, so don't. I mean, try not to freak out, of course, and I know that's going to be with its own wave of problems. Which, if your kids are going to stay home, you're going to have to stay home. When I was a little kid, I spent a lot of days home alone when my mom would be off at work. So I know what it's like to be home and not have a parent around when you have to kind of find something to eat, pretty much, which that's the most important thing. You when I was what was it, like 11 maybe. My older sister was probably about 14, I think. And sometimes I would get home before her, and then I would have to wait for them to get home from school. And I would have to. There was a point when I had to look after my little sister, which she's another like 3 years old, younger than me, I think, 2 or 3. We had to, I had to kind of, it's crazy whenever kids stay at home. And I know it's something that people back in the day, like way back in the day, used to do. But especially right now with this whole virus thing, you don't want your kid to be home alone. And because kids they touch everything at school. Kids don't understand how bad it is. And the ones that do understand it really freak out. And that's not very good to try to freak kids, especially with something kind of this big. It's yeah, I mean, for a kid, even for some adults, it's a lot, right? And just imagine for kids. So one of the things that I do want to talk about is the people that have been is it cured or that have recovered. So I saw this yesterday, and let me see recoveries. So, one of the things that I read last night was that there was a person here in the U.S. that actually recovered from this coronavirus, and it was actually somebody, I believe it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and here in El Paso, and most of Texas, with the exception of I think Austin, I believe, we don't have a lot of cases, which that's good. One of the things that is making it kind of harder is air travel, unfortunately. And I am part of the trucking industry in a sense. So I think that's also something that might play a small part. So we just have to be careful about our environment. Not so much. It's not very. Oh man, I'm not even sure what word to use. It's not too aggressive right now, I guess, the spread, but that's what people are trying to slow down right now, and they're trying to prepare for it for if and when it becomes kind of a more aggressive issue. But one of the things that I do want to talk about is that there are people recovering. Okay, there's people. My point with the whole origin of this problem was in China, where this actually started. They started to get to a point where things kind of started to slow down, and actually they saw more recoveries, and they saw a lot of numbers going down in affected people. This morning, a few hours ago, I was listening to I don't know, the World News, I think. I don't even know, Channel 4, I believe. and they were saying that in the U.S. we have to try to stop the spread of it. And I think the most thing that makes it spread the most is travel, because I mean, it might not seem like it, and I actually didn't know about it, but we have a lot of international travel that comes here to El Paso, and I mean, it just, I didn't think that we were big on international travel, but we do have. I mean, our airport is pretty good. So, just like I said, there's still a lot of things that people don't know. So I'm gonna read a little bit from here from the website on the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, and some of the symptoms. Of course, this is kind of catching people off guard because some of these symptoms rather, unfortunately, are similar to some of the symptoms that you would encounter with the seasonal flu, which we are on the tail end of. Which I also heard that we are. If you didn't get the flu already by this point, you shouldn't get it, because we're already on the tail end of it and it's already going away, thankfully. However, the one thing that is starting to come up with the warmer weather and all that is seasonal allergies. And unfortunately, it's similar symptoms, but not the same ones. So some of the coronavirus symptoms, or some of the signs of an infection, are some of the respiratory systems would be, well, fever. It would be a cough, and I did believe it was a dry cough, which means without any phlegm. They were specifying here in the other page that I was on, but I did hear that it was a dry cough. That was, and that's what makes it so confusing with like if you're spitting out phlegm and stuff like that. I've heard that with this, when you cough, you don't have a lot of phlegm. So it's fever, cough, shortness of breath, and then some breathing difficulties, which, with allergies, most people don't really have that. You just get like a sinus thing, and it's really annoying. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. So we have some recommendations here. Again, this is the WHO, World Health Organization website. Recommendations to prevent infection are regular hand washing, which, that's, I mean, even before and after going to the restroom. If you've been touching a lot of things, at work, mainly, which is where people, especially, those people that work in these stores, they're touching material constantly. So, we have to figure out how to get, to mitigate the amount of things of touching, like all the products that you're buying, shopping carts. If you pay, personally, I try to pay with cards because it allows you to get rid of actual physical, like, paper money, which in this instance, it seems like that would be a better idea. So yeah, regular hand washing, covering your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing, even though actually my girlfriend told me that, that doesn't really do a lot of good, but it's better to try to do that, which has a little bit of good, than doing nothing, right? So hand washing, covering your mouth and nose when you cough, cooking your meat and your eggs thoroughly. Here in El Paso, I think a lot of people here like their food, like meat, especially, like, well done. So maybe this is not a bad thing right now. And your eggs also. And it says here to avoid contact or close contact, which that doesn't mean, you can't talk to people or anything, but you should try to avoid anything that is unessential. So try to avoid close contact with anybody showing symptoms of just coughing or sneezing. Try to. It's most people right now are gonna understand, because everybody's kind of having the same. We have the same doubts. We have the same. We have the same concern, and I think we all don't want to be affected, and we don't want to be infected ourselves, and we don't want to infect other people. So that's going to keep everybody being around each other a little bit at bay. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I did want to mention I did share a podcast that I listened to, which I get it. It's probably a little redundant being on this page, but I did share a podcast. It's one that I listen to pretty regularly, actually, which is the Joe Rogan podcast. And Joe Rogan last week had he had Michael Osterholm, which this gentleman is an expert in infectious diseases and the how they move and everything. And I do believe that he's actually even employed as I think he's actually in charge, the head of the White House team. So he's the person that people come to, which, that seems pretty. It would seem like that would be an important thing. So I did share his podcast, and I'm just trying to show you where it is. I might try to share it again just to try to keep that. I mean, I don't think on Facebook you could pin stuff such as you do in like Twitter. But I will. I'll talk about it here, and then I'll make a little bit more reference here as the days go by. But like I said, again, just the people that I think we should take care of would be your older people, your older family members, which would be parents and grandparents or great grandparents, whatever you are lucky enough to still have. We have to keep those people around. So one of the things that you have to know also is that it's not here in El Paso yet, which that's very reassuring, and we should try to keep it that way. Yeah, I mean, just everybody try to remain calm. Hopefully this week, maybe it was just a freak out. A lot of people were saying that it was because of the people freaked out because of a state of like union or a crisis address by the president. Which, if he was told to do that, that's good. I mean, we have to. People are not dying left and right here in the U.S., so we have to make that very clear. People are not dying in massive numbers here in the U.S. Not just, in El Paso, thank God we don't have anything yet, right? But that's one of the things that's very reassuring, okay? People are not dying consistently here in the U.S. So, but I do think that people need to be aware and try to stay mindful. And maybe those people that are already infected, those people that have been traveling, that's fine. Maybe try to keep your distance. Just keep out any inessential travel or errands that you have to do. If your grandparents or parents, if they need to go out and make payments or anything, try to maybe offer to help them pay their stuff online. Almost everybody has a credit card right now. So let's try to keep that and try to, that's fine. This is one of those times where maybe we don't need to have people all over the streets right now, except for things that you might need, and just try not to hoard a lot of stuff either. I know that's something easier said than done, especially when we start to kind of see like a little spiral of fear. But if you really think about it, here in El Paso, we shouldn't have that fear yet because we don't have any. And more than likely, it's not going to get to that point, especially if we all kind of stay to our homes. And, if you're going to go out to the store, maybe just one person goes out to the store and buys maybe a couple things that you might need. Just the thing that freaks people out from what I've seen is if you go out, you start seeing other people making like hastily made purchases or anxiety-driven purchases. And even if you want to accept it or not, that affects you because you're like, well, they're buying that stuff. and maybe I should be buying stuff too. And we're all affected. It doesn't matter who you are or how smart you are or whatever. If you start seeing somebody buying different things, if you start seeing different things that are out of the ordinary, fueled by this kind of fear that is a little instigated more so by all our media, even if you know kind of the facts, just that that behavior alone will probably it'll probably affect you in some point. So we have to try to keep just calm and try to remain, be smart about it. And again, just take care of yourselves, and don't make any unnecessary contact with people, even coworkers. Like I said, tell your coworkers, hey, it's nothing against you. Hopefully your coworkers will understand. I work with a lot of, I work with some older gentlemen. They're at work, not very old, but older than me, which it's actually really not old. But I do know some of these folks are in their 50s, 40s. I think one of the gentlemen is actually maybe in his 60s, or maybe he is actually 60. And at that point, if that behavior, if I try to be careful myself, I might actually be benefiting some of these gentlemen, because maybe their lungs, especially I heard some of these things that also if you're a smoker, and if you do contract one of these illnesses, and that was actually one of the issues in over in China, where I think the number was like 69% of older gentlemen smoke, and the number of people who have died are significantly of an advanced stage. So that's one of the things that people were trying to point out. It's like these younger folks are not dying, but as younger people, we do have the capability of carrying that virus and infecting other people that are old. And that's the thing that I think you should be concerned about, where we have a lot of, especially here in El Paso, and I don't mean to be rude or try to call anybody out, but I'm not calling anybody out, but we tend to just care for ourselves. In some sense, we do are kind of careful and things like that. And El Paso, with the tragedy that we went through last night, we are a very close and caring community. But sometimes individually, we kind of have no, well, if it's not affecting me, it's not a big deal. We do kind of have a sense of that slightly. So this is one of those times where, we are mindful. And like I said, I know El Paso as a whole, if you look at the majority, I think we are very sensible and very caring for other people. So like I said, I'm just trying to make this, I don't know if it was responsibility or if I just wanted to feel like I was doing something, but at least I want to help people remain a little bit calm. I'm trying to remain calm myself. My girlfriend's freaking out a little bit, but I think that's pretty normal in most situations. And like I said, look at the positive things. We are seeing some of these cases that are diminishing overseas, where these are big cases. I heard also in like Singapore, I was reading that they actually handled it very well. And of course, these places have maybe more strict governments than we do in some effect. But some of the spreading and all that stuff, it is being slowed down. And just I think we're gonna start seeing some of the some stuff being back on shelves, because people from this week on, hopefully, not a lot of people will be going out unnecessarily. So hopefully we'll be seeing kind of what they mentioned was like a flat, where the rates of increased people plateaus. The people that really just need to be out, other than work and everything, would be people that work in hospitals. Unfortunately, people are still there's still going to be accidents. There's still going to be ambulances going out and about. So those are the people that essentially really need to be out for things, and unfortunately, we don't really need to be out and going to buy fast food. We don't need to be out and just buying like different things at different stores that, maybe to like decorate your house or things like that. Maybe we should focus just on, staying home, being with our families, staying away from people infectious or if anything else. And we will get through this. We are definitely going to get through this. There's no way around the fact that we are definitely going to get around this. But we do have to be cautious, and we have to be mindful of how we do it. And we have to try to get through this with with the least amount of people hurt or dying and things like that. So with that, I'm going to try to leave you. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook at AmpEPTX. Also on Twitter at Amp El Paso. And I'll go ahead and post this on the Facebook and the Twitter, so you can find that on there. And again, like I said, just let's try to spread that positivity. Try to die down on that little fear right now. Still be cautious. I mean, don't be shaking people's hands. Just tell them, hey, maybe we should cut that off right now. A lot of people are joking online, and I'm sure you've seen like memes or jokes or posts about people doing different salutes. But it's just, you say, hey, what's up? Maybe don't touch anybody. Hey, yeah, well, everybody's going to be having conversations when they go to work. For me, I work nights and I do work weekends. So hopefully, I won't have to kind of, I guess, shoulder a lot of people. But just most people have, a regular day job, like a Monday through Friday. So hopefully take this time to think about it and try to calm yourself down. Enjoy some home time with your parents, families, kids. And, don't go out if you don't need to. If it's not something absolutely necessary, maybe call if you normally visit some family or something, just call them and tell them, hey, we're just going to stay home this weekend. Maybe don't look at too many news. Try to look at the facts of these things, and try to think like, hey, let's try to calm down everybody, and let's not freak people out. There are a lot of events going on, and I will try to share those. But I don't know, slightly reluctantly, I guess, since this is kind of a big deal, and this is as big as anybody should be comfortable letting it get to. So it is kind of a big deal. So let's try not to make it a bigger deal than it currently is. A lot of events, a lot of venues might suffer. But it's that, like I said, that's at a bigger cost than losing people and then starting to spread this disease around here in El Paso. Although thankfully it isn't here yet. So that's one of the things. Trying to look at the bright side. We don't have this here yet. There is some control about it globally, so we are trying to control some of this. And I know, I've read left and right, just everywhere, that there's people working all over the place on vaccines, on how to control this. And, the biggest and the best way to avoid things like that, is, to try to stay home and just remain calm. So, just everybody, please try to remain calm. And I'll go ahead and try to share more things that hopefully will calm people's nerves a little bit. And don't go out and buy a lot of stuff. Everybody's doing it, and like I said, I know it is bigger. It is easier said than it is actually done, because you don't want to be left alone whenever you don't want to be by yourself whenever stuff just hit the fan, I guess. So Let's try to remain calm. Again, please follow on Twitter here at the AMP El Paso. Well, actually, it's if you're gonna do Twitter and Facebook, it's both at AMP EPTX, and then my little logo is just the word AMP with a little star behind it. So yeah, just AMP El Paso here on Twitter and on Facebook. I will try to keep sharing that stuff. If you can, maybe listen to that Michael Osterholm at the Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience. It is episode number 1439. The Joe Rogan Experience, number 1439, Michael Osterholm. And this gentleman talks about the necessary things, the necessary steps, but he also talks about, the positive things of it, where we are going to get through it. There's people working to take care of this situation. And again, just don't do any unnecessary things, any unnecessary travel. This is an okay time to know what, we're better than this. And like I said, El Paso is, it's a great city to just kind of come together. And you know what? Let's be smart about this, and let's try to take it just a day at a time. All right. So everybody, please remain calm. I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Don't forget to follow Facebook, YouTube, Twitter at the at AMP EPTX. That's AMP El Paso Podcast. And I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday.